but he can climb, and he's won stages in the to Italy in the past, and so the fact he's that far down, he might be nipping off and nobody bothered about him, because the chances then for him to get a stage victory. But we saw a whole gamut of riders so close together, and so we're seeing two different races. Here we are, this lot here, there goes the Lotto Domo riders going through now in the red, white and blue. There are the blue and white of the Fassa Bertolo, there's the pink jersey, and so we've got Mr. Pataki who got the stage, and Cipollini was second the day before that. Before that, McEwen got it and beat Pataki. Then the other sprint we had on stage 2, Baldato took the victory when McEwen was disqualified, and on stage 1 Pataki got that. So those are the chaps who are going to start moving through in towards the sprint finish. So the Lasso team here, well, I don't know that Mr. Baldato is going to get the victory today, but you never know. Now then, before the hurly-burly starts and things start to fly, so many bits of news and things to pick up from yesterday, and I'll perhaps have to repeat it tomorrow when we have more time, but just let me rip through some quick little things that have happened, or conversations that have gone on. Now, that's not Eurosport's Italian operation, by the way. They look like sort of mushrooms that have been blown over, don't they? The press which we all read and the stories that fly around, I like to speak to people. I see things, and you know, this hoo-ha's going on about Ulrich and the Coast team and Bianchi coming in, and I've been trying to talk. In fact, I had a very conversation yesterday with a very good friend of mine who has the ear of Tony Grimaldi, who owns the Bianchi operation through part of Cycle Europe. The thing is, in a mishmash situation at the moment, the only thing which has come clear from the governing body, UCI, yesterday, having met in Madrid, was that it's now been decided for Bruggen, the president has said that it does appear that the Coast sponsor, Mr. Dams, is in breach of his contract with the riders, and therefore they can become free agents. That seems to be the general feeling, is that if riders want to jump ship, then there's an opportunity, but there is like 3 months money lodged in the bank, and that the UCI can use that to pay the riders while they're looking for another contract. It's very difficult to do at this part of the season. But there again, we do know that Bianchi want to take the thing over. Meantime, looks like Ulrich has decided to go to other places. So that's been going on over there on that particular side, and the rumours have been flying about this, that and the other. To do with that, it's very difficult to track down and get actually the confirmed truth of anything that's going on. I'm not saying people are exaggerating things or telling mistruths, but speaking to Robbie McEwen, going all the way back in a big circle now to Robbie, we had a nice little chat yesterday, and he was pleased what he'd done. He got the stage. He still felt he can get some more stages before he goes home. He's going to last till the 13th stage, and of course he's got his eyes on the Tour of France, and so he was saying that I said, I think, you know, you'd like me to put out on air. He said, yes. He said, I'm fed up with what is being said. And you can watch this lovely part. No, it's not Holland. This is Italy. He said, I'm fed up what's being quoted on the internet and being printed in newspapers, which is not true. And he said, Casagrande having a tongue sandwich, he said that there's been a thing printed which talked about the fact that he was going to stay longer in Italy, and he likes pasta, cold tea, a glass of red wine in the evening, and there's a lot of attractive Italian women here. He said, I never ever said that, and it was printed. And of course I've phoned other of my colleagues, and it's been seen elsewhere in Europe, and he said he doesn't know where it came from. And the other thing was, after that he got disqualified on that particular stage, there were people quoting things that he said, and he said, I said nothing to anybody, I just kept my cool and that's it. He said even the other day there was an article printed, or a statement that he made, having won that stage, which we saw convincingly on stage 4 when he beat Pataki, and he wasn't disqualified. He did have a word with Martin Bruin, who is the chief commissaire, who disqualified him a couple of days before, and he just had a little chat with him, and Robbie said that was printed in the newspaper that he spoke to Martin Bruin in French, blah, 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 and it was something to do with, you can't disqualify me today, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it was distorted. He said, I speak Flemish. Martin Bruin from Holland. He speaks Flemish. We spoke in Flemish. I never spoke to him in French. Now, that's very nice of Robbie to speak to Martin in Flemish, because Martin Bruin speaks excellent English. I know that, and he's a great guy. So that somehow some journalist distorted it. He never spoke French to Martin Bruin. He never said what was printed in the paper. So you have to be very careful in this world, don't you? And that's why sometimes we get rumours flying about. You may listen. I won't commit myself to something until I know it's in black and white. It's from the UCI, and we're certain. In the newspapers, very often it is right, because the journalists who write for newspapers, I'm not knocking cyclingnews.com, by the way, or any other of the websites. It is just that newspapers do have legal departments who check things, and very often something gets passed down the lines. Like kids, when we have little party games, when we'd stand in lines and you'd pass a message down, and what was said at the front turned out the other end to be rather different. But Robbie said, look, you know, I didn't say these things, and he's just upset about people being saying things about it. He said, I'm in good form, mate. He said, I'm going for another victory, and I'm sure all English-speaking riders will wish Robin McEwen the best of luck in the future. The Fassa Bertolo team doing a hard work on the front here in the white and blue, just behind the red, white and blue colours of the Lotto team. This is a day for the sprinters, and then coming through to the zebra stripe jerseys of Cipollini's team, beginning to form at the front. Domino Vacanze Elitron are beginning now to sort things out. We're getting in toward the finish. They whiz round. They come down that flat part of this amazing plain, the Piana del Fucino, and then into Tarasco, and then from Tarasco now turning in towards Luco de Marseille and in towards Avezzano. And these two riders down the road, or three riders down the road, before long, I'm sure, with the gap coming down, they'll almost have them in sight, a bit like when you're riding a time trial on your Minuteman is clearly ahead of you. And once the dog can see the rabbit, then that things start to happen. So here we are going through this amazing part of the world in towards the finish at Avezzano, and just passing the dead centre of the town, and we're going on now to see if the sprinter teams can pull it back. One interesting thing, by the way, we're going into the finish today, and you'll see that it's not that easy. It's not, you know, we've seen worse ones with lots of roundabouts and goodness knows what else, but you'll find when you come in towards the finish that as they start running in, there's a very nasty sort of sharp right-hander on the Via 20th of September, and that one is a sharp one. And then we take a left turn, which is a bit of a sweeper. There's a nasty little left one before we come to the final kilometre in the Via Camolo Carabini. And these twists and turns coming in, the first nasty little one, then the left one, and after a kilometre sign, we're going with 5 kilometres to go to have another left turn on the Via Roma. Now, in that final kilometre, the nasty left turn, which is a complete right angle, if even worse than a right angle, if they all fell off there, then they'd be given the same time. I'm talking about the bunch together. Let's say they catch the three guys down here and they sweep in there, and all the sprinters are pushing and shoving and getting on like they normally do. If then they came round in that last kilometre and that final bend, somebody lost it and took down some other riders with him, and they all got back on their bikes and rode in, then they give them the same time as the group going through the little red kite, which you'll see at the end. And that means that the last kilometre, if there is a mishap, through obviously no fault very often of a rider, because one rider goes down and the rest pile into it, it's not their fault, they fall off. Now it's 15 k's to go, so we've got 14 kilometres sorted out for that final kilometre, but we do have before then two other rather nasty little turns. And it was talked about yesterday quite a bit on the rest day, which wasn't a rest day completely. Riders went out training and this and that, the other, and press interviews and chat and catching up with happenings, because everybody on these races are spread over far and wide. The big interesting comments being made, and Garzelli was one of those, front-running a group who were talking about extending or asking the UCI to extend the this special dispensation that if you fall off, you're given the same time. They're asking to go back to 3 kilometers from the finish, and the other people are saying 5. I think 3 kilometers sounds to be rather worthwhile, because as we're watching now, there's a lot coming up, and they'll certainly, I think, will catch our breakaway riders. Within 3 kilometers, I think it sounds sensible, because what's happening is that the riders who are in for the overall classification are saying is these big Wodger riders here, many of those will not be in Milan in the pound seats or euro seats for the top honours and the top 3 places. It's a different game being played out here, but the chaps who want to get into the top 3 places or top 10 places by the time we get to Milan, they have to come in amongst this little lot up until 1 kilometre to go, on the basis if somebody falls off, and chaps in here fall off because that's what they're used to doing, that they're sprinters, or sprinters lead out men, and they are the courageous chargers at the front. And the top riders have to stay close there within that 1 kilometre. Then sometimes before the 1 kilometre, because they're trying to get in there, they're embroiled in this enormous sort of pushing and shoving to get in a position for the sprint finish. And then they can be brought down, and like 1.5 kilometre out, it happened the other day when Dibasi and 1 or 2 other truck riders, they had a problem, down they came, just a touch of wheel, blip, blip. And if you were, say, 1.5 kilometres to go, if you just, by the way, stop that fellow Eisel, watch out for him in the sprint today. He's one of Bradley Wiggins' mates, and Bradley will be moving through with the rest of them to put him in there. But see, Bradley and the rest of his team aren't bothered about the overall classification. They're way off the pace, and they've got one thing to do now, is to get Eisel in with another place in the top 3. So what everyone is saying is that all these teams here are beginning to have their own little sport. Look, on the left-hand side, there is the Psycho team. There is the Sidemek team on the right-hand, and then you've got the blue and white, the Fussa Batola, plus the riders moving through from the Domina team, and they're coming off the front. See how he drops back here? Now, this is we're some way in for the finish now, but that happens very often. Somebody's been working his butt off, and they get him maybe 2 kilometres to go, and he just go, he's got nothing left. He is absolutely sugared, and so he drops back, and when they come back, if somebody's coming up behind very quickly, they just touch him with the elbow, bang, down they go, and that can all happen in those last 3 kilometres. And then if it happens outside the 1k, you're still docked the time, because you're upended or you're stuck in the queue, and the brakes go on, and the problem. And I thought it jolly interesting now that that Garzelli plus some other riders saying, look, we ought to reconsider this. And the UCI, I believe, and I don't know for sure yet, I haven't heard the reaction, but as we're seeing the rest of the sprinters moving through here, there's some, I think, feeling that perhaps one should look towards allowing a 3k to go in the event of an accident. What they're not going to do, of course, is to allow gaps to open up, because sometimes races are won. I mean, do you remember the Tour of France when Le Mans won by 8 seconds on the Champs-Élysées in the time trial, one of the closest finishes ever? What the UCI don't want to do is to think that 3 kilometres out, a lot of blokes just sit up, allow the gaps to open up. I mean, that rule will still apply, is that when they come down the finishing straight, the gaps that are there will be there, and that's it. They've got to find this fine line between having the gaps which are formed through normal racing and the gaps that are formed through people falling off, and it's not going to be easy, but with modern technology now and the way that helicopters can do what you're seeing here, I think there's every reason to say, right, let's leave it as is for 1 kilometre to go out there. But if there's something maybe 3k's out, and the judges, like we saw Martin Brun and excuse me, do you see there in the pink jersey, Pataki threw his feeding bottle away, and as he did it, because he's got one hand on the handlebar, he just moved slightly sideways, and he just bumped into the rider next to him. Now, if this was in the last 3k's, he might have just fallen off, but he didn't, and pro bike riders are very good at handling their machines like that, and these are the things that happen. But we can all have sympathy, I think, with an occasion something happens further on down that means that the riders who are going for the top honours find themselves disadvantaged, because they don't want to be in this hurly-burly. There's the chaps at the back here, the gregarios, the water carriers, and that I think was just seen Bradley Wiggins back there. They fetch and carry, and they close gaps and so on. So there's a lot of riders at the back there. They're no problem. If they fall off or they don't mind. But there's another group of people, those top 10 or so, who find themselves in trouble in the sprints. Interesting story, interesting thought. With 10 kilometres to go in our breakaway threesome here, they certainly, having gone away after 49 kilometres of racing now on this 222 kilometre course. They've been out there for an awful long time. Maximum lead about 4 minutes. He's coming down all the time. You can see at the 12, 13, 14, 15, they're certainly going to be in sight of the chase. Here they come then. That was the clock started with 10 k's to go, and the gap now is going to be less than half a minute. And 10 kilometres, that's 6 miles, and the gap now about 25 seconds. So it's all over then for our threesome at the front. That was Zabala from the Calmary team. There he is in the green pants, together with the fellow in the red, white and blue in front, still pressing on Morini, and the big tall guy behind, Backstead. I suspect possibly, by the way, that I'm only trying to sort of read this. Oh, he's gone. The Lacio fellow's gone off down the road. I thought it might be Magnus that have a go. Magnus hasn't had too sharp a season this year, although he did that great job to lead out Julian Wynne. Oh, it is him. Bang. I was just going to say further down, any minute now Magnus is going to take off, and it was him. When I looked, because our pictures are not very good, and here he goes. I just looked up and I saw it look like the Lacio colour. Here he goes. That's good. There he goes. Goodbye. All in South Wales, they'll be holding their breath now, but I think they, like me, know that it's a long, lone effort here. But of course, it's a very sensible thing to do here. This is running down, what, 8 victories as a professional, pro since 1996, and his successes so far. He's one of those chaps, a stalwart worker for his teams over the years, and he never says die, and he's a very good guy. I mean, all these cyclists are good guys, but some are gooder than others in my book, and he's a big tall, he's one of the few chaps I can stand eyeball to eyeball and have a chat to. And of course this is a day for Magnus back to this world, because he's dead flat now, having clawed his big frame up those 2 climbs we've had so far. Then it's an opportunity to try and nip off down the road on the basis, as this group come through here, they'll swallow up the other 2 riders that were with him. And if they get Zabala and Morini back in, they might take a deep breath and say, well, who else is there? And going back to his wheels, Mother, see those little black hubs and the big thick rims? I'm pretty certain these are the wheels that are made by a Dutchman who wasn't very well recently, but I did see him at the the Paris-Roubaix. And I think they're called ADO wheels, so please forgive me if I don't get it quite right, because there's so many bits on bicycles and who makes them. I go ahead like a sieve at time. And they're wheels which I believe, yes, Bjorn Ries had some, and he loaned them to Ulrich in the Tour some years ago, because they're amazing wheels. They take like about a week to make, and I'm pretty certain, looking at them when our cameras go back there, that's what Magnus have got in today. And they're fantastic wheels, extremely light, and the riders have them, but they're not normally part of the sponsorship deal. So probably I'm now causing trouble with Magnus's sponsor, who provides the wheels for the Cervelo bicycle. But there are occasions when a rider says, right, I'll put these special light tyres on, I'll put these special light wheels on, and I'm probably letting the cat out of the bag now. And I hope Magnus doesn't get his wrist slapped, because that would be the last thing I want to do. But it just shows you the technology, which sometimes riders will actually go out and pay money for special wheels or equipment which they find will just give them that ledge. Particularly, we've seen things over the... Look at the Magnus now. He said, this is my day, I'm going to do it. They're coming at him too soon. He only wants to go. Let's see, it's 5 k's to go. He could still do it. And, well, the bike is made by a company called Opera. Is the fat lady ready to sing at the finish? Somehow, I think Magnus, it might be a requiem, because he's not going to get there with this lot now, beginning to go after him. That they don't take any prisoners today. He's still bashing away here, doesn't he? Yep, I'm doing me a disservice here, but normally the Cervelo team have been riding zip wheels, and I'm just, when the camera goes back down there, as well, he's got the other different frame here. No, it's just, no, it's Cervelo. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I was looking at the Cervelo bike, which is the one from the CSC team. That blew my brain at the moment. But no, I'll have to now find out what the equipment is for his team. But I've got a suspicion, I say, he's got himself a set of special wheels there. Will they work out? As the boss himself is here keeping an eye on things. Oh dear, Magnus. Ah, come on, guy. Oh, there comes. Oh, it's all over and done with. Let's have a round of applause, particularly singing in the valleys down in South Wales. Oh, I love this when somebody goes out there. He was just hoping today he could have got right there, and sometimes it does happen. So, look, 5 kilometres to go. He's been out there since 49 kilometres in the race, 220 kilometres in all, say 55 kilometres of this. So it's about 170 k's or thereabouts. Yeah, thereabouts. 170 over 100 miles, and it's all over for Magnus. The pushing and shoving is now going to start because the sprinters teams have pulled back that breakaway threesome of Zabala, Morini, and the last to go down with all guns firing was Magnus Backstedt from the Factor team, and a great shame then because he just tried so hard, and that's what bike racing all about. Some you win, some you lose, and he's lost that one. What a great shame. And look who's on the front now, and it's back with the Factor team, and it's Julian Wynne. Julian Wynne from South Wales. Magnus Backstedt, he couldn't come to the front, couldn't Julian, until his teammate got caught, and now he's ploughing at the front here, looking after the interests of Iversen, the Norwegian champion, is their best placed man in the overall classification. I'm not sure they can get past this a lot. They've got a very experienced team in there too. Let's give a rundown then. Team Factor then. Iversen, Pedersen, Hoy, Backstedt, Sunderland, Jorgensen, Back, Rijvenbauer and Wynne. And they have entertained everybody today as now, whoops, the pushing and shoving starts to come through as the front, the Jut team start to get involved in there. Gaidon, the experienced rider, winner of the Paris-Roubaix, moving through because they've got that good sprinter in the team and they want to get him up into a good position. Eisel wears 76 on his back. Britain's Bradley Wiggins is in the race too at the moment. Will Bradley come through to help out? I'm not sure that Bradley will be involved in the pushing and shoving, which is about to start happening now because the team from Lotto Domo on the front, setting it up for Robin McEwen. McEwen's wearing the Ciclamino jersey. Don't look for him in the Lotto colours. He's got Ciclamino, which means he's leading on the points competition. In fact, he's not technically leading. He is lying second to Pataki. Pataki can't wear 2 jerseys, so McEwen has the Ciclamino jersey. Watch out for him coming through at the moment. And still, again, driving hard there. Gaydon, number 77, looks over his shoulder. Right behind him, 73. That's Casper, Jimmy Casper, good sprinter too. Will probably be setting up to lead out Eisel, number 70. He's doing just that. Jimmy Casper closed the gap, moves in behind the stripy jerseys of the team of Dominica Vacanze Elitro, and the world champion a long way back. He's got to work his way through, and they're 131 in front of him. That is McEwen. He goes past McEwen. McEwen now, will McEwen go in behind him? McEwen staying over there with Eisel. He's let Cipollini come through, and there Pataki now gets a better position. He's moving in behind that yellow string in front of him, and Pataki now is going to have company because look at Cipollini moving through. His teammates on the right hand side. That's interesting. He's not going with them. It looks like he's going with the rider from the Lampre Daikin team, and do bear in mind that Lampre have got Strada in there, good sprinter too. Perhaps Cipollini's felt he might be the man to take him through. Cipollini's leaving it late. He's now found his way through. He's up alongside the pink jersey up Pataki. Cipollini's found his way through, and he's eyed his man. He's picked him out, and he's got there. And the Français Toujours are infiltrating the Cipollini's team, the Zebra lot, starting the motor now. Cipollini moving through and just quickly onto his wheel, trying to get a bit of shelter from him. Then number 68 there, Trenti, the American, riding for Fassa Bartolo. He won't give him an easy ride because he's got to keep an interest on the pink jersey being worn by Fasabatola rider Pataki, and still again on the front, the wind-up coming in toward the finish. This is Schieri. He's 32 years of age, I'm sorry, 36 years of age, the same as Cipollini. His job now is to stir it up at the front, and behind them Benatti starting to get in there. Lombardi number 54 is usually the last man to lead Cipollini in toward the finish. They're setting themselves up here, and Domeni Vacanzi Elitron, no, today is the day. Tomorrow is going to be a thumping great mountain finish. Their job will be to stay inside the time limit. This is one chance. Can Cipollini get up there and equal the record of Binder? Right on his wheel is the man in the pink jersey, Pataki. What a great sight we've got here. And amazing, I'm surprised that the France de Jour still got one man in there. And coming up here, moving in through, getting behind them, Marcavello. He's going to keep an eye. Look, look, he goes in, he tries to slot himself in, he can't quite make it. He was going in to ride shotgun behind Pataki to stop somebody coming through on Pataki, but didn't make it. The rider from the Kelme team pushed his way in. Where is McEwen? There is Brown, by the way. This is another interesting situation there, because number 23, Brown, the twice Commonwealth Games champion in the orange colours for the Panalaria team. We've not seen him so far. He's been knocking himself into shape. He's now in a good position, but no sign of the other Australian, McEwen, at the moment, as the Zebra guys start to wind up at the front. The zoo gates are open and off they go. Still working hard then. Ungarato takes over, then Benatti. Off the front they come, the gaps are open, they've locked a bit of a gap now, it's open. Further on back, has there been an accident? I'm sorry if we missed that on the concentration on the front. That's not normal to happen, perhaps somebody touched the wheel. Cipollini still followed by Pataki, and we've got an infiltrator here. Who would have thought then that we might have found in this little group one of the riders from Kelme trying to take a ride in the slipstream. There, see, pulls over to the right, Buster got, that's it, and no sign. Well, let's look, I think, has McEwen come through? I still can't see McEwen. He wanted this stage. And it's all set up then for Pataki and Cipollini and probably Brown and the rider from Kelme, who I can't identify at the moment. This is the one, the Kelme rider starts to come inside. He gets a bit of a nudge from Lombardi as Pataki comes past, and Cipollini freewheels. Cipollini gives it up, and there's a surprise here from the rider from Kelme, who came from nowhere. And, well, I'll have to wait and just check that one for you, but as the rest come in, they've lost a bit of time. Cipollini knocked it on the head. Now we'll have to have a look at that one again in case there was some sort of interference that he didn't like. Pataki claims it, and well, that is something. We'll have to go back to the record books, because I've got somewhere here a little note about how many times the leader in the pink jersey has won stages. Eddie Merckx seems to be one of the great chaps at doing that, but generally speaking, the man in the pink jersey just rides in. But of course, there's 20 seconds bonus at stake, and this man might surprise a few people tomorrow. If he can only claw his way up that final climb, Pataki might still be in pink, but somehow I think the mountain climbers will have another idea. Well, there it is. Cipollini 6th. Looking back now at what happened here, what on earth did Cipollini do? Swings round here, got a good lead out from his team in front. Oh, I'm sorry about that, we've gone back and missed out on that one. Well, there we are, the commentators, those are the booths on the right-hand side. Have seen history being made here with this man Pataki, still in the pink jersey, getting stage victories, and the VIPs are starting to move forward towards the presentation. I think we might have a bit of time. We're well ahead of schedule here, and Pataki, I mean, it's awful, isn't it? You ride your socks off like that, and suddenly a delightful young lady comes and shoves the microphone up your nose, and so you feel duty bound to say something. But by the way, interesting here in the Tour of Italy, it's often a bit of a scrum. Don't want to be disrespectful to the boss himself. We saw Carmen Castellano just down the road there as it comes in here, but normally on the Tour de France, whoosh, the winner just is whipped into an enclosure, and there's no interviews on the way through because it stops the presentation. But here we are. The man who stopped to us on the back, you see Brown in the orange. He ran out of steam. Cipollini decided he'd had enough, and it was going then to be this sprint out here. And for one moment it looked like the rider from the Kelme team was going to get it. Galvez coming through here, did all he could, punching his way through, but it was Pataki again, and behind in the pink and the blue, Sferrada, who is becoming better each day. And Cipollini, well, perhaps he enjoyed himself too much yesterday. He was having his photograph taken with two ladies who, to put it mildly, were rather attractive in several ways. And so Cipollini yesterday doing the round of photographs, I'm not sure that that stamped his or sapped his speed today, but certainly he just seemed to get a bit miffed today and just decided that's it. And this was the day he should have got the stage. And saying what happened to McKeown, we'll have to find that one out. So Robbie yesterday when I spoke to him was completely ready for today as he watched this Galvez come round the outside of Lombardi. Lombardi looks back and says, "Where are you going, mate?" And Cipollini is freewheeling, Batagi's coming through, Sferrada's finding his way round, slowing Cipollini because there's money at stake. Apart from the few seconds bonus on the line, there's no bother about that, but my God, it was close. Woof. Pink jersey, pink shorts. He's in the pink, but it won't be like that tomorrow. That's giving him another 20 seconds bonus, you see. Woof. The fella from Kelme came through like the rest have been glued to the tarmac. Nearly got it. Look at this. Look at this. Now suddenly this is the sprinter Pataki comes back again, realizes he's got company, and then throws his bike at the line, and up go the arms, and that's it. So for Galvez, the Spanish not best known for sprinters, I suppose. Well, Ada was the last one. There we are, going back down the overall general classification. Look, he's now a minute ahead of the specialist climbers, Garzelli, Casagrande, Simoni. There's a load of riders there that, all right, I think tomorrow, yeah, it'll be a lot for Pataki to climb that final big mountain tomorrow, but that's going to make fascinating television, and we're going to be covering as well for 3 hours on Eurosport, and I'll be aided and abetted by Christy Anderson out there on the mobile phone, putting us in a picture about as it's happened. You'll see it on your screens too as well, and I hope you're going to join me then. We'll give you a little rundown later on about the times, but you can watch it all in your newspapers. So yet again, Pataki has got a stage victory and is firmly in pink. Going back to confirm the situation at the line, Cipollini back at a disappointing 6th. Lombardi, his teammate, led him out there just alongside him too as well. So Azerbaijan, the 3rd time we've been here, and sprinters in the past, Capes got it, before that Ciccioli, but tomorrow could all change then as we're going to be on air. That's going to be at 1:30 British Eurosport time, 2:30 for those who are watching on Central European time. Thanks for coming today. We finished a bit early. It won't be quite the same tomorrow, so I hope you join me, David Duffield, on that occasion, whilst we're going at some point after this to pick up with Sid Hoare on the European Giro Championships. Stay with us.